In the book of Proverbs, looking at various topics there in the book of Proverbs, and I hope that you'll be able to join us for that. You can get the study guide, and it's there in the link that's posted in the broadcast notes. So you can just download that, print it out, and follow along, or you can just look it up on your phone and follow it that way. So we're going to go ahead and get started here this evening. And tonight we just have the three of us that will be chatting. So I want to bring in our guest. And Lorene, welcome to the broadcast tonight. And that Lorene is going to be getting a new phone, and so we're excited about that. She's not so much excited about it, but it's going to happen. You know, what we have to do sometimes is drag people into kicking and screaming into technological advancements.
Yes, serious.
You know, how has your week gone for you so far?
Good. I'm working on some decorations for a shower we have coming up, and so I love when I have a project. So
yeah, well, I think that'd be fun for the ladies. I've gone to a couple showers before, and I've decided this: I'm old enough to say no to
baby showers.
Yeah, going to baby showers or wedding showers for that matter.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that is just not you know. And I know that trendy and you know, sensitive men do that type of stuff now, but I've been there before, and I really believe this, and it's just my own personal opinion, but I really believe this. I think that women enjoy the showers more
I do.
when men are not present.
Yep.
You know, so, and that's
Don't
not
shower together. That's the rule.
At least that's been the rule around our house.
Girls only.
so, all right, Mercy. So I better behave myself. Nobody's watching right now, so we can get away with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, well, you're recording it, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
once it's in the air.
I know. Once it's out there, who knows what's
I
going
was
to
going
happen.
to bring my Bible in here tonight, and I forgot.
There's
I could
one
probably
up.
reach that one.
Yeah, why
I think
don't
we're
you?
going to need it.
Yeah, we're going to need it. We're going to be talking about the Bible. Please don't break a hip. So
I might.
I know you might. You know, there's just, if you could see what a mess this office is, and yes, I hear about it a lot, but it doesn't matter. But there you go. The book of Proverbs is where we're at tonight, and all you have to do is open your Bible up to the midpoint, and that's the book of Psalms, and then Proverbs is just to the right of that. So I'm going to let you put that over there for you. Okay. So let's go ahead with our questions this evening and work through those a little bit as we go along. So it says here that each of us is on a journey through life. Select the right companions to guide your way. What should be your first step on your journey? Read Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. So what's our first step on the journey? Or can you quote Proverbs 3, 5, and 6?
I can't quote it, but I have it right here.
Okay, well, read it for us then.
Okay. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight.
Okay, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight. So what's the first step in the journey?
Knowing God.
Knowing God. You know, why is that so important? You know, I mean, really, I know that, you know, we're committed Christians, but why is trusting in the Lord versus trusting in your own gut or your own wisdom or your own instincts or whatever else so important?
I'm just wrong so much.
Yeah.
My first blush of things, I'm so often just wrong in the way my heart goes or my mind goes, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean that's just it. I'm not trustworthy, really.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, and so and one thing that we can know for sure is that God's word will not fail us. That our own judgments and our own, you know, thoughts can lead us astray. As Elaine says, we can be subject to stinking thinking.
That's true.
You know,
Yeah.
that's for sure. You know.
I mean, I think the longer you know God,
Mm-hmm.
you know, sometimes those, you know, first blush of decisions are good because you've had some practice, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, back when I was younger, I I don't know, I always thought I was right, but
Yeah.
I was nope.
Yeah. 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 I always thought I was right. That's for sure. So, okay. Well, let's move on to question number 2 here. And it says, other than Bible reading and prayer, what are some practical ways that you could apply the above passage to your life? So, in other words, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will make your paths straight. So, other than Bible reading and prayer, what are some ways that you could apply the above passage to your life? You could probably maybe complete this statement this way. To apply this passage, I will what? What are some ways we can do that?
Oh, I'll tell you what I did.
All right.
I said that I really like what it says in verses 1 through 3. So can I read that?
Yeah.
It says, my son, do not forget my teaching, but keep my commands in your heart, for they will prolong your life many years and bring you peace and prosperity. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Then you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what I said for me is that it's not just reading my Bible, but having God's word in my heart.
Yeah.
So that I would always, without even reading the Bible, can have that knowledge of what God is expecting of me.
What does it mean to have God's word in your heart?
Well, I do think a lot of it comes from reading the Bible, knowing His word, you know, and so then when you're in situations where maybe you're not going to be reading your Bible, you know, but the Holy Spirit will use it, you know, help you to remember it and use it in your life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Make wise choices.
Yeah, that's happened on so many occasions in my life, more numerous than I can count.
Well, I think that's what God planned.
Yeah, yeah. I think also, hold your thought, Lorraine. You won't forget it, will you? Okay. You know, so wait a minute, I forgot mine. No. So, I do think that also consulting wise counsel from other people who know the Lord and know their scriptures.
Right.
You know, there's a passage of scripture in the book of Proverbs, elsewhere in the book of Proverbs, that says, in the abundance of counselors, there is safety. And so you know, it's always good. And, you know, one of the big temptations that we have is just to seek out counselors that agree with our foregone conclusions. But what we need to do is be open to those who will speak into our lives, even when we don't necessarily want to hear what they have to say. So, Lorraine, now back to you.
Yeah. I came up with the wise counsel thing too. I think for me, it's really important. And I want people who are different than me. Like, I have one friend, she just says it like it is. Like, she just says it like it is. And I always know where I stand with her because she's just honest. But I came up with another one that has really benefited me. And it's getting to know people of different culture.
Yeah.
Of even of different religion than me. I need that confrontation with my beliefs to really settle, is this what you really believe, or are you open to something that they said, and will
Mm-hmm.
that make you love God more and love other people more? So to me, the traveling, doing mission trips, and there's a whole thing about mission trips, but there's something about getting to know other people outside my world that has just
Mm-hmm.
really helped me be less prejudiced and way less judgmental.
Yeah.
And I just think that's an important. I don't know. So I'm used to just being closed in my world, and
Mm-hmm.
to have reached out a little has really helped me
Yeah.
with my thinking.
Yeah. One of the things that has really helped me too is listening to, back in the day, they were recordings or radio programs, and not all of those, are good, obviously. But I subscribed to one program, and they would send me tapes routinely. I have like dozens and dozens of them here somewhere in my
Like
office.
hundreds.
Yeah. And I would listen to those while I drove. And because, you think of how many hours you lose in your life while you're driving or doing other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying you always have to be doing something like that. But I really have been blessed. Just today, matter of fact, I referenced something that I learned from those tapes many, many years ago when I was actually coaching a woman today about her life's circumstance. And so having other people speak into your life like that routinely, nowadays there's so many, and that's probably the problem, is that there's so many good ones out there. But one that I would recommend that people to check out is the New Life Ministries with Stephen Arterburn. Is that podcast often has a lot of good content on it, particularly on how to do relationships and things like that. So there may be other ones, but I really have been blessed by. Back in the day, I would listen to Stephen Arterburn when he was working with John Townsend and Henry Cloud. Yeah, And so, and now one of the, I listen routinely to some Christian apologetics podcasts, but also periodically to the New Life podcasts. Okay. So, getting back to our study about our traveling companions. So, the book of Proverbs opens with a father's warning to his son to avoid evil companions. Proverbs 1:8-19 talks about that. According to this passage, what might draw someone down the wrong path? You want to read that for us? Who has it? You have it handy, Janice?
You want me to read it?
Yeah, why don't you? Proverbs 1:8-19. Next page over. There you go. I just got the stink face from
8
Janice.
through 19. Listen, my son, to your father's instruction, and do not forsake your mother's teaching. So you're supposed to listen to your mom and dad.
Yeah.
They are a garland to grace your neck, and a chain to a head, and a chain to adorn your neck. My son, if sinful men entice you, do not give in to them. If they say, come along with us, let's lie in wait for innocent blood, let's ambush some harmless soul, let's swallow them alive like the grave, and whole like those who go down to the pit. We will get all sorts of valuable things and fill our houses with plunder. Cast lots with us, we will all share the loot. My son, do not go along with them, do not set foot on their paths, for their feet rush into evil, they are swift to shed blood. How useless to spread a net where every bird can see it. These men lie in wait for their own blood. They ambush only themselves. Such are the paths of all who go after ill-gotten gain. It takes away the life of those who get it.
Okay, so what's the enticement there? Why might somebody fall in with the wrong crowd? Kathleen mentioned it a little bit earlier in one of her, is valuables, money,
Yeah.
that
easy. It's easy. It's you don't have to work hard. Like it's not hard work.
Easy
You know,
money.
Yeah.
it's to me that passage sounds like what happens when you go out the door now. It's like you
Yeah.
get beaten down, beat up, your stuff
Yeah.
taken, you know,
Yeah.
more than ever.
I
Right.
know. It's a shame that we have to live in a society where that's tolerated.
And I watch enough cop shows to know that 3 guys can go out and loot something and say, we're going to divide it evenly between us. And then one always kills the other one and takes his
Yep.
share.
Exactly. We just watched a cop show like that
Yep.
the other night. We watch a lot of cop shows, a lot of murder shows. Janice knows so many ways to kill me, and that, and oftentimes she'll say, "Well, that was stupid. They should have done." And and I'm getting to the place where I sleep with one eye open. Yeah. So, what else? We see the allure. What else might be some of the reasons why people are drawn into? There's obviously the prospect of ill-gotten gain, but
I think that it shows, what happens when you hang out with the wrong people.
peer pressure.
Yeah. And I read it out of the NIV, the Reader's Edition.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And, that's why I said listen to your mom and dad, because, it says it even more plainly in the other one. But,
Assuming that your mom and dad spoke wisdom into your
right,
life.
right.
I was just talking with a person here this afternoon.
I think that's probably what God was assuming.
Yeah. Because
Not if you have a mom and dad that abuse you.
yeah, her mom and dad did not speak wisdom into their lives. My mom and dad weren't bad people, but they didn't. I grew up in that era, kind of where that they were kind of, and they weren't party people. My dad was just really all about making money, and my mom was just all about keeping peace at home type of
Right.
thing. But they really didn't speak into my life a lot of wisdom. Go ahead.
Well, I think that when they're talking about that, like, even if I think about, like, the bad parents that I've known, they're not encouraging their kids to go out and become robbers and stuff. I mean, most people, no matter who they are with their kids, they want their kids to be decent people. And,
Yeah.
like, maybe they're telling them, get your riches by, really working hard and getting a job and stuff like that. But, maybe they're not full of wisdom, but they would try to steer your kid in the right way.
Yeah. And that's why I think it's so important for us to have, moms and dads who know the scriptures, who know the Lord and know the scriptures. But I also, and we've talked about this because we are kind of in a church that has a lot of older people in it, which I don't think is a bad thing, to tell you the truth.
I don't either.
Yeah. But I think that we need more and more grandmas and grandpas who can speak into maybe not, their children's lives, because their children may have already kind of like made their choices, but also, touch their grandchildren's lives, So, and
I feel like that's my number one job right now.
there
Yeah.
you go.
It's my number one job to speak into my grandkids, whoever's going to listen.
Yeah, yeah, and it doesn't have to be an obsessive kind of like, I'm gonna cram religion down your throat. It can be kind of I think it can be a great opportunity to be very engaging, and I try to do that with our grandkids, and they have good parents, but I also like to engage them in their thinking. And
I know so many women over the years who've said that if it weren't for their grandmothers, they wouldn't even be followers of Christ. That those are the ones that took them to church or who prayed for them and who did all these things with them, you know.
Yeah.
I know for my youngest, he used to call me every single day on Facebook. I mean, seriously, it was every single day for a year. But now, for a year and a half. Now he's older and he doesn't call me as much. However, he does call me, and what I do is I just watch him play his games. And I ask him questions about his games. And in between all those times of just watching him play his games, there comes these gem of questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just happens quietly. It's not forced. And I get to answer them because he says, Grandma, what about, did God have, like, where did God come from? Like, I don't know. To me, I can't wait for those moments. But there's a lot of downtime with him. It's just boring stuff in a way to me. But that's okay because I'm going to get those questions. I'm going to get them.
And you know, that's kind of what we could call an incarnational ministry. So instead of waiting for them to come into your world, you go into their world. And that's exactly what Jesus did. You know, he came into our world. And
I think it's exactly what we're talking about in these verses too, you know. And then there's the verses in Deuteronomy that says to talk to your children, to you know when you're walking and when you're whatever. And I know I was talking to my daughter who she said that this year she has 2 kids. They're going to school at different times. So she's been taking her daughter first, then she comes back home, gets her son, takes him to school, and I'm like, man, can't he just go? And then you want him to make 2 trips and everything. And she says, but I'm enjoying it because when I only have one of them in the car, I can talk to them about what's going on in your life, you know, what's going on in your day, without the other one, and they're fighting, you know, if they're together.
yeah, that's true, boy. I tell you.
So if they're not together, then
those
you
2
know,
guys,
you have more chance to talk to them. But I know I spend a lot of time with my kids talking to them in the car and watching TV shows. We talked a lot about, you know, how is this not, you know, how is that honoring God? What could they have done better? You know, if they hadn't lied about that, how would that have been a better thing? You know, just like daily things, trying to make it apply it to their walk.
Yeah, that's one thing I really am thankful for in Janice's life, is that she really sowed, you know, a lot into the kids' lives, running them back and forth to school.
Yeah.
Even some of the neighbor kids,
Yeah.
you know. So, but all right. Let's see. What question are we on? Number 4. Okay. That's why, according to this passage, is it foolish to walk in the way of evildoers?
It says they're going to be caught in their trap.
Yeah. I mean,
You start
ultimately.
making
Yeah, go ahead.
compromises. Like,
Yeah.
you might say no at first, but then they'll say, well, just
Yeah.
come in the car with us. Just come in the car, you know. Or, you know, just, you know, you just go stand out there and watch and just let us know if the cops come, you know.
Yeah.
So you just
Yeah.
start making compromises little by little, and then you're full on into it, you know, and you don't even realize what happened.
Yeah, I know a guy who's serving time for murder because he was in the car with the guy who did the murder, but because he was in the car, he got convicted too, you know. So,
Yeah. So you end up ambushed yourself.
yeah,
That's true.
yeah, you know. So, okay. So read Proverbs 13:20. How important is selecting the right traveling companions for your journey? Tell about a time in your life when you selected poorly, and how did that affect you? Proverbs 13:20. Do you have that, Lorene?
I do.
Okay.
Become wise by walking with the wise. Hang out with fools and watch your life fall to pieces.
Yeah.
That's from the Message.
Well, that's good, though.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So you become wise by walking with the wise, you know, and that. How about, was there ever a time in your life when you selected poorly?
No.
No. So, yeah. Here we have one
I
here.
kind
Is
of
that,
have that too. It's like I didn't really hang out with the bad kids. We always hung out with the smart kids. However,
mm,
I was asking God to help me remember a time when I had chosen poorly. And I
yeah.
remember thinking, and I had to, this is something I even struggle with to this day, is about gossip. Like as an
Mm-hmm.
adult, it is
Yeah.
so easy to get into the gossip thing, especially in a church when you're on the prayer chain. It just,
Oh my.
it just, it's really terrible. And we do it, and I did it for so many years without even thinking, without even calling it gossip. And I'm like, I got so
Mm-hmm.
convicted of this when I quite a few years ago when I got into a small group. I'm like, one of the rules was you can't talk about this stuff outside the group. That's kind of hard if you're gossipy, you
Yeah.
know. And I really, God really convicted me of that. And I'm not saying I don't do it. I still on occasion catch myself, and then I stop and get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a trap. That is
It
such a
is.
trap, and it's
Yeah.
one where I have chosen poorly.
Yeah. Those are tasty morsels it talks about in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
book of Proverbs,
Mm-hmm.
and so that it says very important here. One Facebook user says, when I was young and working with liberal women, I started looking at their sinful ways as okay rather than sinful. They seem to be having a lot of fun. And, I mean, it is true. I mean, of course, and obviously your friends or whoever will always talk about the great fun that they have. They don't talk about all the times that they puke their guts out or whatever, after partying all night. But I know my life is that when I was younger, BC, before Christ, yeah, I hung out with the wrong crowd and I paid the price for it, and and I had some good friends, but some of my friends were also just bad characters, and it's just by the grace of God I didn't end up in prison, for running with those folks and doing the things that we thought were fun, but and so yeah, and you look back on that, and I regret those poor decisions that I made, so here is that according to Proverbs 19:2, what works against your success on your journey through life? What does that passage say? Do you have it? Either one of you. I don't care.
I'll read it.
All right, go ahead.
Desire without knowledge is not good. How much more will hasty feet miss the way?
Haste makes waste. So just going ahead and jumping without thinking can be a big problem on our journey through life.
I know sometimes I've got really excited about a plan or, something that sounded like so much fun, or the right way. And then, without even thinking through the consequences of it. It's not even like anything really bad, but just, like sometimes I come up with crazy ideas, and then someone will just say,
You?
yeah, someone will just say like, well, what about this? I'm like, oh man, yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. Man, I've made some I had some really poor decisions, particularly with investments along the way. Not all of my investments have been bad, but and like I oftentimes say is that whenever I invested in stocks, they always became laughing stocks. And
Yeah, you shouldn't play stock market.
no. It's just not. It just does not work. It's for whatever reason, And I also from time to time get, some side hustle business ideas. Okay, yeah, because I have a very entrepreneurial mind, and I like to, try new ideas and things like that. But I've chased some things. I've chased a lot of dead ends. I appreciate you, Janice, being very tolerant of me doing that, though. Yeah.
Lorene?
Go ahead, Lorene.
Yeah, I think rushing through things. There's a part of me that's really very impulsive, and I've
Mhm.
kind of learned just sleep on it at least one night, just one night, sleep on it, and then you can go do whatever it was, you know. But I
Yeah.
know if I rush through something, it's almost always I get myself into such trouble because I'll rush into
Mhm.
something, maybe say I'll do something, and then it
Yeah.
turns out it's so complicated and it took so long to do, and I mean,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
I try not to rush, but sometimes I still rush to something.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Can make a big mess of things. So
Yeah.
number 7, it says, according to Proverbs 11:3, what works for your success on your journey through life? Okay, this one's all you, Lorene.
Oh, 11.
I could look it up on my phone.
I'm not sure this is the right one. This is also from the message. A
Okay.
gad about gossip can't be trusted with a secret, but someone of integrity won't violate a confidence. But I don't know if that's right.
Yeah, let
That's
me
the
look and
right.
Here,
see.
I have it right here.
Go ahead.
It's 11:3, right?
Yeah.
The integrity of the upright guides them, but the
Oh,
unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity.
okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. It was right.
So what will help us in our throughout life?
Integrity.
Integrity. So, what is integrity?
Like leading an honest life?
Leading an honest life. It's when our outsides match our insides. Um, it's um, it's the ability to rise up and meet the challenges of what we are facing in the proper way. You know that certainly there's no, we don't cut corners, we don't cheat, we don't make excuses, you know. And there's far too many Christians that that do not live their Christian life with integrity, you know. So
It's really hard to do sometimes because you want to just cut the corner and
mm,
I
I
don't
know.
know.
All of these verses kind of come back to the whole idea that you're hurting yourself. Whenever
mm,
you do these things, who you're hurting is you.
yeah, well said.
Thank you.
Yeah. So number 8 says, read Proverbs 16:3 and 9. What do you think is the relationship between planning and flexibility? So what does that passage say?
Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans.
Okay, in verse 9.
In their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps.
Okay. So we commit to our plans to the Lord, but then we also have to just trust that He's going to establish our steps. It's not like our plans are foolproof.
Right.
You know.
I said that I can make plans, but I need to be flexible and consider if my plans align with God's word.
Or even God's leading.
Right.
You know, because it may not necessarily be a bad thing. Go ahead, Lorene.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was so strict in like my plans. I was so strict that I couldn't. It really bothered me when something would go wrong and I'd have to adjust. And now I'm just like open as like, well, we'll try this, but if this happens, we just have to roll with it. And it's so much easier just to roll with it because, okay, sitting in traffic, nobody likes that, but maybe there's some purpose of sitting in the traffic. Maybe it saved you from being in a wreck, or you got to listen to a special song. I mean, I have no idea, but sometimes the things that slow us down, that's a good thing. That something was an obstacle of some sort, because who knows what could have happened. And it's easier just to say, okay, God had His reasons. And I know people think, oh, it's dumb to think God has a reason for you getting a red light. But I do believe that. I'm serious. I
Sure,
totally
sure.
believe in that now.
Oh yeah,
Totally believe in it.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. I mean, after all, if you stop and think about God's work, He's not just working in the grand moments of our lives,
mhm.
you know. And in all honesty, most of the, I mean, most of our moments in our lives are just small moments anyway, you know.
Yep.
And that it's the accumulation of those small moments that lead to big results.
And maybe sometimes you're just to learn like patience or courtesy, like you let someone go in front of you, when you're driving, or maybe giving up control.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah. One of the I do this group on Tuesday nights too, and one of the guys in that group said that, and it's a quote that I'm sure that all of us have heard before, but it said, he said that if you want to make God laugh, just tell him your plans.
I
Yeah.
like that one. Yeah, I like that one.
You know. So. All right. Oops. Number 9 here, our last one. So tell about a time when you had to adapt to some unforeseen circumstance in your life.
I got one.
Okay.
All right. I remember, Joy was in college. My last kid was finally in college. We were going to go through empty nest, that whole thing. And I was going to go back to college and finish my college education. And I wanted to travel. And then Ron's parents died, and Ron's Down syndrome sister came to live with us.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, everything stopped. All of my ideas of what I was going to do stopped, completely stopped. And I that whole experience, it really changed me, because I couldn't really do what I wanted. Like, I had all these plans and I couldn't do any of them anymore. However, having Tammy had some advantages, and I know that now. There were some good advantages to having her with us. But in the moment of it, I remember being so mad, so mad. And I remember one time telling Ron, I can't do this. And he's like, we have to do this. This is the only choice right now. And it's like, who wants to be told that? Like, who wants to be told that you have to do something? And, but that was totally unforeseen. We could not have known that ahead of time, or, you could think about it, I suppose, but his parents died so close together. It just the way all of it worked out. It was the way it was supposed to be. But, oh boy, I was mad at God for a while. I was really mad at him for a while.
Yeah. Here's the ones that I had to adapt to being divorced at a time in my life when I thought I would be cruising. Yeah. So, go ahead, Janice.
I have one that I know I've told this story a million times, but it really was one of those moments. Is when we were young and had our first child, and we were trying to get health insurance because we didn't have any health insurance or anything, And so it was going through okay, and then they're like, well, could you be pregnant? And I'm like, oh yeah, I just had that test, and yes, I'm pregnant. And so we couldn't get insurance, and I was really worried because with our first daughter, this is crazy, I know, like especially in today's world where you just put it all in a charge card. I don't even think we had a charge card at that time in our life. And
we were building our credit. We bought a baby butler on a baby butler on installment. I think that was the way we built. Yeah, I know it was the way we built our credit, and then we ended up also getting a pennies card.
Well, I
but you can't put medical bills on your pennies card.
No, and like our first baby, we saved $750. That's how much they said it costs to have a baby at this hospital. So we saved all of it,
and then, that was a lot of money for us.
It was, because we didn't make very much money, and then we get there, and I had to have a cesarean.
Well, tell them about what happened the night before. With Karen.
Moving?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was laying on the couch, and all of a sudden, my mom was across the room, and she could see it. My whole stomach just starts moving really weird, and it felt horrible. Well, she just moved into the bottom first position, and so I had to have a cesarean, and I was like, all I could think of was, we can't afford it, we can't afford it. And they're like, you're going to have one, so went in and had her and everything. And then, so what would it have been, like a year later? Or, let's see. I'd have to do the math, and I can't do it right now.
Yeah.
But anyways, wasn't very much long. She was still very small. And find out I'm going to have another baby. And that we have no insurance again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I don't know. And I'm the kind, I would fret and worry about things like that. And for the first time in my life that I can remember being so dramatically changed, I just felt God's peace come over me. And I even remember thinking, why aren't you worried? I'm telling myself that. Why aren't you worried? And it's like, God's got it, and it all worked out fine.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was difficult.
Scary.
Yeah. That, I remember you would go to the doctor, and you told this story also before about how you went to the doctor and the finance manager.
Yeah. See, what happened is that we got on, I guess it's Medi-Cal.
I don't know what it was.
Whatever California's health.
At the time, yeah.
It was like welfare, but they would help you, like, if you can afford this much money, then they'll pay this much. And so they were paying a portion of it, but they don't pay it until the bill comes. Mm-hmm. And so what they would do when I would go to the doctor's office is the lady would always take me into the back and ask me how I was going to pay this money.
Put her under the light.
Yeah, and she
bring out the rubber
always,
hoses.
and I kept saying, but this is what we have, and blah blah blah. And so one day they did that, and then I went in to see my doctor, and I was kind of weepy or something, and he's like, what's the matter, and I said, every time I come here they want me to tell them how I'm going to get the money and everything, and I said, I keep telling them, but they're not paying attention and stuff. And he went back and told him, don't ever ask her about money again. Awesome. And he gave us 10% off our bill because Carrie was a minister. Yeah. And we were paying, without insurance.
Yeah. So, it hasn't been easy along the way for us, and particularly in those early years.
Financially, it wasn't.
Financially. We could tell stories about cars that we've had. But
our car budget was usually $500.
Yeah.
for a different car.
Yeah. But God always made a way.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. Well, I enjoyed the opportunity to visit with you, Lorene, tonight about these things and about traveling companions. You've been a traveling companion with us for a long time.
Yep.
I don't know how long.
We went to Africa.
Well, I'm just talking about ministry and life.
Oh, yeah. 33 years?
Yeah.
Yep, something like that. Yep.
Yeah.
Long time.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually you'll get rid of us.
No, I think we'll be leaving before you guys.
But I appreciate your life. I appreciate your heart for God and your friendship. So that anything that you guys would like to say before we wrap up tonight? No? You said
good.
it all? All right, cool. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Thanks again, Lorene, and we'll talk to you at church on Sunday. So that speaking of church on Sunday, I am talking about, there goes our dog, by the way.
Ran over.
Yeah. So at church on Sunday, I'll be talking about you're a good father and how that God is. I've been preaching through a whole series of the names of God. And I think that's good for us from time to time to circle back and think a little bit about God as being our Father, because I think that we tend to get so caught up in the realities and circumstances of daily living rather than remembering that God's there for us and He is going to walk us through the circumstances that we have to face. He doesn't always spare us. those circumstances. But he is going to walk us through, and we're going to come out on the other side better for it. So I would invite you, if you're able to connect with us on Sundays or catch the replay. Is that it's available on all the stations that you watch here, or on our YouTube channel at Compass Church Riverside, I believe, is our YouTube channel. And so I appreciate you joining us for this study on the book of Proverbs, and we're going to continue on with that. I've already posted next week's discussion guide, so you can download that there on the website. So that's it for now. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.